you feel uncomfortable. Maybe you have a day off from work or school, maybe it's the weekend and you've spent all your time at home watching TV, gaming, scrolling social media in your bedroom. You are where you feel most comfortable, where you take solace from the hectic happenings of the world, where you can do the things that you truly enjoy. So why then are you feeling uncomfortable? You're in the place where you've always retreated after long, busy days, where you've always unwound and de-stressed. Maybe you realize you haven't spoken to a friend or family member in a little while. You've noticed that it's getting dark outside and you haven't spoken today to anyone. And that's okay. You've never really been one for deep social interaction, yet you're still uncomfortable. Maybe you've realized that you're lonely despite not really liking other people. Man is, by nature, a social animal, noted the Greek philosopher Aristotle centuries ago. Every day we rely on others for nourishment, both of body and soul, for entertainment and pleasure, for support. Yet you've never really relished in the company of others. Maybe you've always preferred to be alone. In this moment, however, you're lonely, despite not caring much for others. There are few examples that better relay this sentiment than Neon Genesis Evangelion. The on-screen therapy session of creator Hideaki Anno has been a staple of Japanese culture since the 1990s. Despite having been heavily responsible for many of the cliches and negative attributes of being an obsessed anime fan, the show has stuck with people for over 2 decades. And it's not really because of the big robots fighting big demonic creatures, but mainly because of the message at the heart of the show. We need each other, but can't really understand each other. You might not connect with others easily, but you're not alone in that. Everyone, every now and then, dreads social interaction. Everyone has been nervous to speak to someone, uncomfortable in the presence of others, unable to think of something to say. And everyone has their own reasons for it. Maybe it comes from the people who raised you, maybe you dealt with something traumatic, maybe you were bullied, went unheard, feel shame or anxiety. Millions of little moments, predispositions make up what we are. The people we all have become, the reasons we can't all understand one another. Unique circumstances give way to who we are. Every one of us can experience similar things, but that doesn't mean it'll affect us all in the same way. We won't all have the same responses, and sometimes the more you get to know someone, the less you might understand them. Evangelion references German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer and his penned Hedgehog's Dilemma. This idea touches on a group of hedgehogs on a cold winter night. In order to brave the freezing temperature, they huddle together closely for warmth. However, after a short while, they realize that by getting close, they're stabbing one another with their quills. Eventually, after trying and failing to share in each other's warmths, the hedgehogs find the proper distance from which they can tolerate one another while benefiting from the heat. In essence, the metaphor is telling us that people cannot get too close without hurting those in our space. So maybe you're afraid of getting too close with other people, of hurting and being hurt in return. Or maybe you're afraid of disappointing them, of not meeting their standards, of being looked down upon. Every time you walk into a room, people are set upon their own pedestals, yours perpetually being the shortest. Maybe one day you decide that in order to stop disappointing others and begin receiving their praise, you'll do everything in your power to be what other people are expecting of you. Maybe you'll nod your head and tell them yes. You'll learn about the things they like, how they act. You'll spend each day being a reflection of everything you think other people want from you. Maybe then you'll fit in and you won't be so uncomfortable in the presence of others. You'll receive praise while avoiding the disappointment that you so fear. But what happens then when inevitably you begin to lose the ability to differentiate between the reflection and yourself? A famous reporter by the name of Herbert Bayard Swope once wrote, "I can't give you a surefire formula for success, but I can give you a formula for failure. Try to please everybody all the time." Conflict begins always when two opposing forces come into contact with one another. Self-conflict then leads only to self-doubt, doubt to total loss of confidence. It is here that you will have lost the conflict between yourself and the self you present to others. And when you no longer know yourself, you will only come to find that you understand people even less. Always being agreeable, doing what others tell you for the sake of pleasing them, will not bring you closer to them. And you'll find one day you feel lonelier than you ever have before. There's nothing left of who you are, only what you want others to think about you. This is the arc of Shinji Ikari, the main character of Neon Genesis Evangelion, a boy who lacked identity, starving for approval from others after his father abandoned him and his mother passed away. The boy who tied his entire self-worth to being the pilot of Evangelion Unit 1. Shinji is a difficult character for many people to root for. He's not brave or unselfish. He doesn't put the safety of others before his own because he cares about them, but because he craves their acceptance, their approval. Shinji is not a hero, he's you. Every time you feel lonely despite not liking other people. Time and again we see Shinji receive what he wanted. Praise from his father, a place to call home, people who care about him, but these things never leave a lasting sense of fulfillment, a feeling that he's become any closer to those around him. As time goes on, in fact, Shinji only further loses grasp of himself and reality. It isn't until he comes to a very important realization that a breakthrough occurs. Reality lies only within your own perception of others, of everything. Let's look at it this way. Imagine you're the only person on Earth. You've never seen another human being. How then can you perceive yourself? Picture yourself, know your shape, without ever having perceived someone else? It wouldn't be possible, and it works both ways. How could you possibly ever understand someone else without first understanding yourself? When you walk into a room of strangers and everyone's pedestal is higher than yours, that is only reality as you've perceived it. Your own insecurities have led you to perceive others as you have perceived yourself. Maybe you're thinking, how can I expect these people to like me if I don't like myself? This line of thinking, however, is entirely paradoxical. How can you expect these people not to like you when they don't know you? They've yet to perceive you as anything, but your perception has already made your reality what it is. The overall message of Evangelion leaves many viewers scratching their heads, and maybe I've spent this video doing the same to you. So I'll try to sum it all up in a much more effective way than I probably have so far. In essence, Evangelion is telling you to love yourself. Because at the end of the day, no one can truly understand you but you. Reality is whatever you perceive it to be, but that perception can change. Only when you love and are secure with yourself, can you begin to understand and get close with other people. So the next time you begin to feel lonely despite not liking others, make sure you patch things up with yourself before doing anything else. Make sure that you are your best friend. Be kind to your shadow. Take care of yourself.
そう、他の人の形を見ることで自分の形を知っている。他の人との壁を見ることで自分の形をイメージしている。